I'm not going to lie. The number one draw that led me to make this video was the opportunity to sing "Let Me See That Dong, 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 Dong." Way back in 2020, 2021, I backed Andy Smith's First Man, and one of the perks that came along with the tier that I backed was his Jungle Lords, which ended up on a completely different pile from all my other books. I just unearthed it this week. When you backed Jungle Lords, you had the choice of, and I don't think it was called this, but I'm going to call it this. You could either back the Dong version or the non-Dong version. They're both the same book, but in the Dong version, the principal male and principal female characters are completely naked through the entire story. Now, if you're given that choice, unless you're buying it for a family member, why in the hell would you ever not buy the non-Dong version? So, I backed this, and the Dong version's been sitting, as I say, it got mislaid, and I just unearthed it this week, and I read it, and I'm here to tell you that the Dong is hypnotic. It's like a sundial. It's omnipresent. And I recognize how jarring the Dong must be for women, because I have one, and it's still unsettling when you see one in the wild. When I was in school, I was walking across. I went to school in one of our fair cities, and I was walking across the commons or the park, whatever that was called, grassy area in front of the school. And this guy was walking in front of me, and he had a sweater over his arm. And it looked kind of like a waiter, like in those cartoons, those Warner Brothers cartoons. You see a waiter's got the white napkin over his arm. This guy had like a sweater over his arm, over his forearm, just like that, and kind of swinging it back and forth. And when he passed me, he swung it away from himself, and you could see that he had his whack-a-mole peeking out, just hanging there for the whole world to see. And so he would cover it with his sweater until he walked past a target person. Then he would unveil the curtain, and there was the one-eyed trouser snake. And it was unsettling. When you see one in the wild, it's unsettling. It's like you get an electrical jolt. And I walked away, and I was dazed for a while afterwards, and I was thinking to myself, what's my duty here? And then I said, I think you have a duty to at least call it in, because if you don't, and this guy, jumps somebody, then it's at least partially on you. So I called the police. And told him, I said, I can't be 100% on this, but I think I just saw a willy. And the officer took down my description of the willy. And at the time I was making the call, happened to look out the window, and I had a full view of the commons. And I saw there's our hero. Now I'm probably on the 5th or 6th floor, so he's small, but he walked past a woman, and then I saw the woman jump as though she'd stepped on a snake, and no pun intended. And I said, "Yep, he's still doing it." So by way of illustrating that you're never ready to see someone else's wife's best friend. And it's kind of the reaction I had to Jungle Lords. It's a fun tale. I liked it. The main couple in there are an elderly couple who, when they land in the Savage Land or Skartaris or wherever it is, the magical dinosaur place, it de-ages them. So not only do they have the natural male-female dynamic of being stranded on this island and being naked, but they're an elderly couple who have grown comfortable with each other over the years and now are all of a sudden much more gorgeous to each other. That was a nice wrinkle. I don't recall seeing that before. And the book came as a flip book. With the title Ultra on the back half. And Ultra was a lot of fun. Andy Smith is always, how do I want to say this? He's always a lot of clean, lined fun. And I don't know if you want to use the word clean in a movie, or in a comic, I mean, that's got more penis than a penis having festival. But Andy has a spirit of comics from the late 70s. I don't think it's an accident that in every comic I've seen Andy do, since Comicsgate took off, talking about the Jungle Lords and the Ultra and his First Man 1 and 2, it's not an accident, I think, that Andy always puts a Hostess fruit pie parody in his books, because that's the era that Andy evokes. When I say clean-lined fun, I mean just stories that are almost exclusively single-issue, self-contained stories. Back in the 70s, we didn't have a whole lot of arcs. Characters that are always completely jazzed about whatever they are. The heroes are jazzed to be heroes. The villains are jazzed to be villains. The guys stealing Hostess fruit pies are jazzed to be stealing Hostess fruit pies. And that spirit is definitely at work in both Jungle Lords and Ultra. So, Tuttle recommend. I give it 3 out of 4 dongs. And I'm actively looking forward to Kordrath when it comes out. So, from the highest dong in Dongland, this has been Tom Tuttle.